Over 40% increase for nothing other than they can. They don't want to sort the bot things out. They don't care about the creator, and they don't care about the viewer. The war between creators and viewers, so to speak, has been going on for a long, long time. YouTube is sat in the middle where they make the rules, they make the decisions, they choose the ads, they choose the length and make them more annoying and more frustrating so that you'll turn to YouTube Premium and pay them directly, which is more beneficial for them. As for creators' experience, it doesn't really help them. The percentage that we get from those who use Premium, for example, is actually significantly less for obvious reasons. YouTube gets to take a bigger cut. Now, they're already taking 45% of the revenue that creators are earning themselves anyway. And that actually includes things like donations that are made through the channel, which I personally don't think they have the right to do that. So you get YouTube creators who turn to sponsorships, and they turn to Patreon and other sites in order to help further support their ability to continue creating. So for YouTube to go and make the situation much worse with things like preventing ad blockers from being used and all of this, they ensure that their bottom line is growing and actually they're benefiting more and more whilst your user experience is getting worse. Now, this is something that has been on my mind for a while, actually, as I've started noticing the difference between the CPM and the RPMs for target videos, etc. For those who don't know, CPM is a cost per mil or per 1,000 views. This is what advertisers are charged for 1,000 views of their ads on YouTube videos. The RPM is essentially what you as a creator get. Now, the idea is that the RPM should be as close to 55% of the CPM as possible. And the reason for that is 45% is their YouTube's cut. Of course, when people use ad blockers, that amount goes down. Users will also not always be shown ads. So you won't get 100% on that line of 55-45 split. When I was looking at analytics recently, I've noticed that it's not even close. For me personally, and I'll open up about more about the channel's earnings, for example. At one point, one of the videos that I released was actually trending, or it was doing very well from the off. Now, gaming is an overly saturated market already, so it's particularly difficult for there to be high CPMs in that market, which is fine. Now, for this particular video, we're looking at CPMs of $10, which means for every 1,000 ads that are shown and watched, YouTube will charge the ad company $10. So roughly, you want to be looking to as close as $5.50 as possible, because that would be your 55% split. Now, naturally, as I said, the more people that use ad blocker or don't get shown ads, and that drops and drops and drops. That video had a RPM of $2, which meant 20% of what YouTube was getting paid by promoting ads on that video ended up with me. And that's before tax. Now, using that, it becomes very, very difficult to be supported as a creator. Meanwhile, as a viewer, you have to sit through increasingly long ads, more frustrating, more misleading ads, ones that are not even checked by YouTube themselves. They don't know half the time what they're promoting. Your experience goes down. You're not even sure if the content is something you want to watch or if it's going to be beneficial to you. They don't care. If you get frustrated with the creator because of the ads, it's a win-win in YouTube's book. So you turn to sponsorships, etc. For a lot of channels will, which is absolutely fine to support the channel. Now, I believe that you should be researching exactly what you work with as a company if you're going to promote a company as a sponsorship. I'm fortunate in many ways. Instant Gaming is a company that I've used. I'm fortunate, I'm lucky, and there are a number of companies that I will downright refuse to work with because they're somewhat misleading or something to the audience. And for me, if they don't offer something to the audience as well, It's misleading of me, and it's unethical of me to promote a company that isn't 100% legitimate and that can offer something as a benefit. So I'm fortunate in a way with instant gaming. That's nice. It's nice to know. But this is one of the reasons why people will turn to Patreon, and why they'll turn to things like sponsorships to help support the channel. It's needed. With YouTube's recent news that they are now hiking the cost of YouTube Premium by 40%, over 40%. It's disgusting. It really is. It's difficult to try and portray this, to try and show the difference between what it is that YouTube are charging advertisers, what it is that we're getting as creators, and the experience that viewers are going through watching misleading ads or mid-roll ads, beginning ads, unskippable, whatever it is. And then as a creator, you're stood here going, well, I need to support myself. I need to keep the channel going. The amount of hours invested into each video is staggering because I need to make sure that it's right. And YouTube just don't care. They don't care about the creator and they don't care about the viewer. Their bottom line, that's their priority. And because they own the market monopoly, they get away with it. So recently it got to a point where, as I said, this idea that it started as $10 as a CPM, where the RPM was closer to 2. It was already bad. To know that they've just hiked it by that much for no other reason than they can, ensuring that your money, your time is going directly to YouTube, skipping the creators. It's just wrong. You may be aware with practices that creators are having to take on board now where they might have to drag the video out, push it beyond a certain time limit to ensure that it's pushed by YouTube to the general audience. Now, I don't agree with that, but I understand why it's done. These practices are done because of the desperation of creators, not large creators who might be in a position where they're fortunate now to keep things going, but more the smaller creators who are doing it hoping that they'll be able to support themselves with it, etc., etc. We're in this position now where things are just getting worse for creators, they're getting worse for viewers. But the battle is constantly between us as to whose fault, who's to blame, etc. Or you're filling it full of stuff or whatever. I mean, you know, you're probably well aware of some of the tactics people use, and you get frustrated when you see a sponsorship and there's a sponsor block for that, and that'll skip over the sponsored section and all of this, and you think, yeah, well, you know, creators rely on that more than anything because YouTube is screwing them over. 100% screwing them over. Recently, you may be aware that actually YouTube have implemented a system that has allowed you to skip ahead over frequently skipped parts of the video. Now, that might seem like a beneficial thing as a viewer. What YouTube are essentially saying is f*** you to creators, f*** you to viewers. You've watched the ad, now we don't care. They will wait. They will watch and wait. They will allow you to watch 30-second unskippable ads of some absolute nightmare, whatever it is that they don't check. I've seen all kinds of things pop up. When you get to the content of the viewer, when it's, as a creator, when it's our time to show you the type of content we can show, YouTube then step in and go, well, we've made our money now. Want to skip this bit? This is skipped a lot. It's staggering. You don't stand a chance. They have made it so that everything to do with advertisements for them, everything to do with their bottom line is bulletproof. You can't circumnavigate around it. When it comes to the creator, they just don't care. And it's painful. Seeing this price hike, this YouTube Premium, which at this point becomes a necessity for users. I mean, for me, myself, I like listening to music. And I don't want to put the ads in there or anything like that. So YouTube Premium seems like it makes sense. If I'm learning about a certain technique when it comes to editing or when it comes to something else, that seems like the right thing to do, to skip the ads so that I can make sure that I'm spending all my time working rather than sitting through the ads. So they are full on just taking advantage of a situation that they've created. Back in the day when the YouTube ads would be a 3-5 second whatever, you knew what you were watching. It would be that ad, job done, go into it. It has come so far from that YouTube is almost essentially not watchable without some form of way to skip the advertisements. Whether that be YouTube Premium, whether that be an ad blocker or whatever people use, I don't know. And watching this blatant exploitation just goes and shows it. It's over 40% increase for nothing other than they can. As a viewer, you've got the ability you can't skip any of the ads. You got more and more ads happening all the time. The frequency of these, by the way, as a creator, we can't control what it is you see. We have no idea. We just say, yep, put ads in it to support us. Then you've got this new feature of skipping ahead over frequency, skip parts, meaning that our statistics, our video, the work that we put in to make sure that that script, the video works, it's tested, it's tried. No, most people skip over this bit. You can skip over this bit too. And then, of course, I get a load of comments on a video, for example, it's not working, this isn't doing this, where do you cover this? What about this? Well, it's in the video, but unfortunately, we don't have the patience to listen to it anymore. And I want to take a moment here to just specifically thank the people who have supported me, whether it be YouTube donations, Buy Me a Coffee, Patreon. That generosity does so much. To know that those donations, those contributions to supporting the channel is on my mind all the time. It motivates me. That's my inspiration. So instead of a company like YouTube that just decides to price hike, for them it's nothing. For someone like a creator like myself and many others, I'm sure, it's make or break. And it's a huge, huge deal. So I thank you for those who have decided to support the channel, because I don't think I would have made it this far if it wasn't for those. And that means the world. I didn't feel like people should have to subscribe to something else for $5-10 a month in order to be able to access the content. But what I did do is I provided a $1 tier, which was the ability to watch all the videos that this channel has without YouTube's pathetic exploitation of the ads. That way you can sit down and you can go through your mod builds and everything else and have a look at the showcases of the mods and all of this, and you can enjoy what you're here to enjoy without having to go through so many hurdles that YouTube put in the way. That was why I created the $1 tier. And for those who want to support even further, it's a privilege and I'm grateful, and I like to offer a few extra bits. So for my $5 tier, there are extra perks, for example. But the whole reason for the $1 tier was because, as far as I'm concerned, that $1, 500 to 1,000 views in YouTube size, before tax. Now, realistically speaking, I can't understand how anyone would be capable of coming to the channel and watching my content between 500 and 1,000 times. When you put it into those numbers, you realize just how bad the situation is. And the fact that out of those 500 to 1,000, not everyone is going to be shown an ad anyway. When you look at the fact that $10 was where YouTube are charging people, and the $2 that the channel ends up per 1,000, how much of it is lost and how bad is it going to be? Meanwhile, YouTube Premium have just increased by over 40%. Now, this is what's been on my mind for the past few weeks or so. Seeing these numbers and stuff and trying to find a way to keep the channel afloat. it's been a constant battle. It's been difficult. I've been trying to find ways to make it work. I've been sat down hours and hours and hours a day. And it's probably important to say that as long as I can keep going, I am going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing what I do best and try to help provide something towards that community and hopefully further. I think it's just when you're in that position where you're hanging on, your reliance on a corporation, an international corporation that is profiting billions per quarter, when they can easily hike the price of premium by 40%, knowing overall people will just take it. As a creator, and you're sat there feeling bad about asking for support on Patreon, or feeling bad about the fact that you might have to put a sponsorship in or whatever it is, you have to start making it clear this is brutal for smaller creators. Because all we want is to ensure that your experience is the best that can be had from the situation. Unfortunately, YouTube don't feel the same way. It's a tough time for many creators, I'm sure. And I'm hoping that things will continue to improve every day, I'm hoping to release more regularly as well. I will say that for those who are part of the Patreon, they will have early access for the Thanes on Patreon. They will have early access to my content, exclusives and behind the scenes. Simply because as a Patreon, as a company, for example, they have their cut and that's it. Those who consider going to Patreon and supporting not just me, but any creator, when you support them on Patreon, that is a very big deal. Or it is to me, and I'm sure it is to many others as well. You're supporting them directly. Because YouTube is already exploiting them. They're already exploiting the creators. They're already exploiting the viewers. And it's just getting worse. I don't know where it stops. It's a bit of a different topic, I know. But this is the thing. The idea of the channel being something where I am creating and sharing content with you like a television network where I have a schedule and all of this. It's wrong. It's not how I see it. I feel that this is a community. I feel that we are a community. I don't feel like I have to hide that from those watching. I feel like that is owed. That's all of us. We're all on this journey. We're all sharing this. So voicing your concerns like this and explaining the situation and how difficult it is for creators and whatnot, I think that's part of it. I think that's a way of you seeing behind the scenes what goes on that you might not see otherwise. I'm not sure. And also just to reiterate that those who do support, whether it be via donations, Patreon, using my affiliate link for Instant Gaming, you are the reason that I'm able to still do this right now. And I'm honoured. It keeps me going and it means the world to me. And I will continue to do whatever I can to show that. I hope there's opportunity for me to continue growing. And I hope that we can work together as a community to not just hand everything over on a plate to a conglomerate like them. Seeing things like this premium going up, when we, as premium users, we get a certain, for those who use premium, we get a certain amount and it is very small. So seeing that go up just goes to show where their priorities are. Meanwhile, my channel has recently been hit with bot attacks now in the comments, and I personally am still at the stage where I'm trying to just hide them and remove them. You can't block people from the channel, you can only hide their comments. They don't want to sort the bot things out. They don't want to try and clamp down on security, but they will hike the premium. There's been an awful lot about this subject that has been in my head for the past few months or so, especially after everything that happened with the accident. I found that I was having to desperately catch up from my absence. And it put financial stress and all of that on. And this just exacerbates that. And well, I do what I do because I've never found anything that gives me the joy of seeing things like when I read comments from people saying that in my X amount of years, I've not been able to mod or do this, and I've followed it, and my game is looking great, and I feel like I have a purpose there that I'm able to provide. I'm able to help change someone, help someone's ability without making them feel this big, without making them feel what YouTube make creators feel. That's my aim. I love what I do. I love the people, the community. It's a situation I never even thought I'd find myself in. And I absolutely love it. And I'll do anything I can to make sure I can keep that going. So there we are. What a bit of news to wake up to. Of course, depending on where you are in the world. I mean, it's very early here. As you can probably see, my eyes are just, I don't do mornings very well. But I felt that this had to be addressed. This is something that as a creator, as a community, I think we should certainly share on this. Hopefully there's something to learn from the situation anyway. Guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. It's a perfect time for a brew.